use my health. I'm going to change the song to health, which I have an abundance of, thank God. You know, before I get into the show, I'm going to get into the show by getting into the show by getting out of the show and tell you, I listen to talk radio from time to time, including my own show. I have struggled most of my creative intellectual life to not use hackneyed phrases, whether in my writings, of which there are almost 30 books now, or in my daily broadcasts. I avoid repeating words, certain words that you hear all the time. So I did an algorithm of talk radio, and these are the words that are killing talk radio that I try not to use. They are dossier. You'll never hear me say the word dossier. That's the latest buzzword. Dossier. Dossier. To sound sophisticated, people are using a sort of mock French word, dossier. Now, no one cares. Do you want me to talk about the dossier? Because I will not do it. Here are other words that I will not use. Hillary. Email. Progressive, fake news, Mueller, MSNBC with some kind of snotty, meaning of the acronym. Another word I would choose not to use if I could avoid it would be collusion. I try not to say the word Russia. I am trying not to use the word Mueller. Liberty I don't want to use. Founding Fathers I don't want to use. The minute I hear Founding Fathers, I go to sleep. And so what I did was I took these words of this algorithm that are killing, these words that are killing talk radio, and I wrote a paragraph. I was alleging to my producers before the show that if we took these words that are oft repeated in talk radio and threw them into a computer program, there's probably a computer program that could do an entire talk show just using this lexicon. It's an honor to speak with you today. This dossier was probably hidden by Hillary in her deleted emails. And the progressives on MSNBC and CNN are probably trying to tell you it's fake news. Now, we know there's no collusion with Russia. So does Mueller, who's supposedly a great American. It's an affront to our liberty and what the Founding Fathers intended. Nor does it help the dreamers. I'll put it in a memo. Now, some of the words I have omitted, Jim's laughing, are Soros. We got to use Soros at least once an hour. Bash liberals at least once every segment. We've got to refer to snowflakes at least once a show to show that we're not snowflakes. We got to throw an aside at the words deep state to show that we're so knowledgeable about the intelligence agencies. And finally, we have to be sure that we are triggered by something. What words do you hear that make you immediately turn to music when they're repeated on talk radio? I'm not kidding. I'm trying to save talk radio. I'm single-handedly, like Atlas, carrying the world of talk radio on my shoulders. Which words do you hear that make you say, I can't take another second of this? To me, the word that's killing it is dossier now. Dossier. Dossier. All day long, dossier. I know it's the dossier. So I'm going to try not to use those. There are show topics I will get to. I'm not sure when or how, but I'm just not ready to put my feet into the icy water at this moment. I'm ready to go, not ready to go. I don't think you're ready to go. I'll get there eventually. I mean, the stock market's fun to talk about, isn't it, up and down? I don't think it's running on its own volition. Not at all. I think it's definitely been manipulated by Janet Yellen, as I said to you yesterday. I said to you on the way out the door on Friday when she resigned after 13 or 14 years, she was straight up. She said, stocks are overpriced, but not really overpriced. And so is commercial real estate, but not really overpriced. And then they ticked up the interest rates, and, of course, the market corrected Friday and then Monday. Today it's back up, down. Now, who do you think made money on this manipulation? You don't seem to understand that people made money as you lost money. For everyone who made money, everyone who lost money, rather, someone made money. You understand that? I asked you yesterday, find out who shorted the market on Thursday night or on Friday and took part in the $4 trillion pot of money at the expense of the average person. And you will find out who's manipulating the market. My friend Craig Smith, who's advertised on this show for many years, 16 years he supported the show with his gold company, Swiss America. He said, Michael, you've got to tell the people that you've been warning everyone about this volatility in the market for years. And the fact of the matter is, I was ahead of the curve. And I'm ahead of the curve again. And I just want you to take a shot for free by looking at the free book, Don't Bank on It, by Craig Smith. It's that simple. I'm telling you right now. It's for your sake. Don't bank on it. Free book, 800-289-2646. Just check it out. The last 8 days of trading have had $4 trillion in losses. Dow moved yesterday 900 points in 25 minutes. The computer algorithms took over. Right? But, again, I will remind you that someone took part in a $4 trillion pot of money at the expense of those of you who may have panicked. And that's all I'm going to say on it. I don't even want to talk about it any further. It's not of any great interest to me. Here's some other stories, and I'll read them in order in which they're laying here on my desk. They're pulled from early this morning. I couldn't wait to get up and do the show today. I don't know why. What's wrong with me? Why would I want to subject myself to the horrible news of the world? Because there's nothing else in the world. I don't play golf. I don't play tennis. To me, politics and world events are the most interesting thing on the planet. So here's a couple of headlines. German refugee worker admits she was wrong and plans to move to Poland. Now, this is a great story that appeared on InfoWars by Paul Joseph Watson. Are you ready for this story, those of you who are confused on open borders? A refugee worker who once welcomed Merkel's decision to open Germany's borders to over 1 million predominantly Muslim immigrants now admits she was wrong, and she's leaving Germany for Poland, asserting it's too late for Germany. Here's a woman who destroyed Germany, a radical feminist who destroyed Germany, beat up the men with her big fat yap, yelled at everyone who didn't want all the Muslims in, calling them racists and this and that. So she founded a refugee aid association in 2012. She welcomed the deluge of migrants that began sweeping over Germany in the second half of 2015. This left-wing lunatic said, "At that time I wanted to help everyone and truly believed that all these people were fleeing hell and were in a state of complete distress," she told the Polish Weekly whatever. And so with 300 stupid liberal volunteers, this German woman began providing German language courses to the Muslims with the aim of helping them integrate into society. And she thought that their medieval view was going to change with time. But guess what happened? All you idealistic liberals who may or may not be listening to this show, this deluded liberal lunatic Sommer in Germany soon realized that, quote, and I'm quoting her now, call her a right-wing maniac if you want. She said, quote, Muslim refugees have grown up with values that are totally different. They have undergone brainwashing from childhood and are indoctrinated by Islam and absolutely do not intend to adopt our values. She goes on and says the migrants, quote, regard we infidels with disdain and arrogance. And they began to call this woman who was helping them, quote, the stupid German whore behind her back. A realization that she says had led other refugee volunteers to quit. This liberal, Sommer, now admits that despite her good intentions, she got it completely wrong. Pay attention, liberals. And that Muslim migration poses an existential threat to the German way of life. A problem that will only be exacerbated by the process of family reunification, where migrants will be able to invite their relatives to stay in Germany. So she fled Germany for Poland. You fools in this country, you bright-eyed, bushy-tailed idiots from Columbia University who march against Trump and demand that he stop deporting migrants, may have to flee America if you keep it up. Here's an article I saw today in the New York Post. The one-way fast food joints are healthier than swank restaurants. I'm surprised the New York Post gave Trump credit for anything, because since the old man's been in the hospital, the young James who took over News Corporation has been anti-Trump around the clock. He better check out this article, because the writer says Donald Trump may be right about fast food being safer than the poshest of grub, according to new research. The president's love of junk food is widely known, with him being pictured several times enjoying a burger on Air Force One. And he was asked by someone, I think Anderson Blooper, when he was eating McDonald's on an airplane, he said, why do you eat fast food? Asked Anderson Blooper. And Trump responded, I'm a very clean person. I like cleanliness, and I think you're better off going there than maybe someplace that you have no idea where the food's coming from. It's a certain standard. The article says it turns out Trump may be 100% correct. A restaurant and dining supply company analyzed germs from 27 different restaurants with swabs tested, which were then tested by an independent lab. At the low end, they took samples from taco, chicken, burger joints, and then they took at the 5-star range. They tested sushi. By the way, sushi is one of the most dangerous of all foods. Steak and Italian eateries. The company found that fast food restaurants had lower bacteria counts overall, and many times germs were contained in the bathrooms. But in 5-star restaurants, germs were evenly divided between the bathrooms and condiments. Why? Because the cheap restaurants use disposable utensils. How do you like that? Bacillus cereus bacteria, which were found to be more prevalent in the 5-star joints, are found in food items and can cause diarrhea, nausea, and vomiting. Gram-positive cocci, which was found in fast food restaurants, is responsible for staph infections. Well, now you know why he eats fast food. There's more coming. More stories coming in a moment on the Savage Nation. I'm not asking you to call yet. It's a sign of a bum show. If within the opening segment of a radio show, I'm going to give you some hints now that I'm reaching a certain point in my career. I'm going to give you a little peek behind the curtain. If a host opens the show and asks for callers within the first 2 minutes, he's dead in the water. It means he has nothing to offer you, and he wants you to do the show. I'm disclosing all the tricks to you now because I'm trying to save the medium. Talk radio is a beautiful thing. It's got to be saved from itself. So one of the giveaways, if a host opens and is fumbling, mumbling, so tumbled, they don't know what they're doing, they have no focus, they don't want to be there, they have breathing difficulties, they're on a respirator, the batteries went off and they hear it, whatever the problem may be, they immediately say, we're open for business right now. We have one open line. That means there's no one calling. I know all the tricks in the book, and I'm letting you in on all of them. All the secrets, one at a time. So here we are, the new economy. Jurors in the El Chapo trial will remain anonymous. That's smart. Would you want to be on the jury of the El Chapo trial? I don't think so. Jurors seated in the upcoming Brooklyn federal trial of accused drug kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman will remain anonymous and partially sequestered, a judge has ruled. That makes sense. Otherwise, they would be intimidated. I've often thought about that. Why aren't jurors allowed to wear black masks, like black hoods over their head, like at Abu Ghraib, with just slits for their eyes? I mean, it would protect their identity, wouldn't it? El Chapo's attorney, Eduardo Balazero, has staunchly opposed requests by prosecutors to subject the jurors to a strict regimen of some kind, arguing would make his client seem dangerous and undermine the presumption of innocence. Oh, right, it's America, I forgot. We're all innocent. Everyone's innocent in America. They're proven guilty except for Donald Trump. Isn't it odd how the liberals argue that our way of life is being threatened by Trump while they're attacking his way of life without any compunction whatsoever? It's very intriguing to me how things work. Well, that's the opening to my show, and although I'm not desperate for calls, I invite you to call at 800. Nope, wrong number. Sorry, I'm still doing it from 10 years ago. Let's see my number here. 855-400-SAVE, S-A-V-A-G-E. 800, no, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. 855-400-SAVAGE. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation.